Hello everyone, welcome back to Podcast with Neeraj. Today, we have a fascinating guest from Canada, Hannah Foster. A few months ago, I visited Toronto and decided to explore a famous history museum. I expected to learn about ancient civilizations, but I never imagined it would become one of the best English learning experiences of my life. The museum was hosting a special activity called the Museum Conversation Challenge. Visitors were paired with someone they had never met before, and every discussion had to be in English. We had to describe exhibits, ask thoughtful questions, and explain our opinions. At first, I felt nervous because I was afraid of making mistakes. Then I met Hannah, who smiled warmly and said, "Let's enjoy learning together." Those simple words made me feel comfortable. Hannah, thank you for joining us today. Tell our listeners what inspired you to volunteer for this unique museum challenge.
Thank you, Neeraj. Hello, everyone. I've always loved museums because every exhibit tells a story. When the museum started the Conversation Challenge, I immediately volunteered because I enjoy meeting people from different countries. Our first task was simple. We stood in front of an old sailing ship and had to describe everything we noticed. There were no right or wrong answers. The goal was simply to communicate. I asked Neeraj questions like, "What catches your attention first?" and "Why do you think this object was important?" Instead of worrying about grammar, we focused on sharing ideas. That is how language grows naturally. Every exhibit became a new conversation. Every conversation introduced new vocabulary. By the end of the first hour, we weren't thinking about making mistakes anymore. We were simply enjoying learning together. And that's exactly how English should feel.
One exhibit completely changed the way I looked at learning English. It displayed inventions that had transformed everyday life. Hannah asked me to choose one invention and explain why it was important. At first, I searched for complicated words. Then she smiled and said, "Use simple English. Clear ideas are more important than difficult vocabulary." That advice stayed with me. I described the invention using short sentences, and surprisingly, everyone understood me. That's when I realized fluency isn't about using fancy words, it's about communicating clearly. For everyone listening today, here's a useful phrase, "in my opinion." It's a great way to share your ideas politely. Another helpful expression is, "Could you explain that differently?" These simple phrases make conversations smoother. Hannah, what activity helped participants improve their English the most during the challenge?
My favorite activity was called Become the Guide. Each participant had to choose an exhibit and explain it to the rest of the group in simple English. Nobody expected perfect grammar. We only wanted clear communication. Some people spoke for 1 minute, while others spoke for 3. But everyone learned something new. After each presentation, the audience asked friendly questions. That encouraged real conversations instead of memorized speeches. I noticed that students who spoke regularly became more confident every day. They stopped translating every sentence in their heads and started thinking directly in English. That transformation was wonderful to watch. Learning a language should feel exciting, not stressful. When people enjoy the conversation, they naturally remember more vocabulary and become better speakers without even realizing it.
Hannah, today's conversation reminded me that English is much more than grammar books and exams. It's about sharing ideas, asking questions, and learning from people around us. I'd like to give our listeners a simple challenge. The next time you visit a park, a museum, a library, or even a shopping mall, choose one object you see and describe it aloud in English for 1 minute. Don't worry if your sentences aren't perfect. The important thing is to keep speaking. Today's useful vocabulary includes artifact, exhibit, gallery, ancient, discover, and history. Try using each word in your own sentence today. Small daily practice builds long-term confidence. Hannah, before we end this episode, what's one message you'd like every English learner to remember?
My message is simple. Be curious every day. Curiosity is one of the greatest teachers you'll ever have. Ask questions, explore new places, read signs, describe what you see, and start conversations whenever you can. You don't need perfect English to begin. You only need the courage to speak. Every mistake is proof that you're learning something new. Don't compare yourself to fluent speakers. Compare yourself to the person you were yesterday. If you've learned one new word or spoken one extra sentence today, you've already made progress. Thank you, Neeraj, for inviting me to this wonderful conversation. And thank you to everyone listening. We hope today's story inspires you to explore the world with curiosity and practice English naturally every single day. We'll see you in the next episode of Podcast with Neeraj.